Welcome to First Mover, your first global look at today's action in the Bitcoin, blockchain, and digital asset space. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Joining me is my co-host, Coindesk Executive Director of Global Content, Emily Parker. Good morning, Emily.
Good morning, Christine.
Good to see you as always. Let's have a live look at Bitcoin right now. The Coindesk Bitcoin price XBX index is at $47,306. Bitcoin sliding about just over 1% over the past 24 hours. And the Coindesk Ether price ETX index is at 3,400. Also tracking losses of just about 1.7%. And the DFX Coindesk DeFi index is at 317. DeFi is actually making a gain of about 5.6% over the past 24 hours. The most reliable reference prices for institutions since 2014 are now published under the Coindesk brand, trusted globally as the leader in crypto news, events, and data. So that's a very interesting decoupling there, because our top story of the day is Axie Infinity's Ronin network has suffered a $625 million exploit, and it may be the largest exploit in DeFi history, Emily, but DeFi overall is looking up.
It's really crazy when you think about it because, there was a time in crypto history where a hack like this would just be like, I don't know, it would have dominated the news cycle, at least the crypto news cycle, for more than a few hours. I mean, we're talking about $600 million, like possibly the largest hack in DeFi history. And as you said, we have DeFi up, and then, even Ronin itself, which was the victim of the hack, that dropped by about 20%, which, in crypto world isn't really that big on the grand scheme of things. And even, Axie Infinity's coin didn't drop that much on the grand scheme of things. So I guess you could look at this in a positive way, in that, the market is kind of shrugging this off and saying, okay, we will survive this. But it's really interesting.
That coincides with a lot of comment on crypto Twitter. We've got a tweet from Eric Golden, a former Fidelity portfolio manager, saying, "You cannot make this up. Hackers steal 600 million in ETH from Ronin blockchain and the one underlying Axie. Hacker then goes short Ronin and AXS, the Axie token, knowing as soon as news breaks, the tokens will plummet, but no one notices and they get liquidated on short before news breaks." Seems to be a joke. No one can confirm who the hacker is and whether they have shorted tokens, but it's funny to think about in retrospect. So let's dive further with our Coindesk Spotlight.
The Coindesk Spotlight is brought to you by Nexo, the place to earn on Bitcoin, Ethereum, and more.
All right, the largest hack in the history of crypto happened last week, according to DeFi Yield's Rect database. And no one really noticed until now. Gaming-focused Ronin Network announced Tuesday a loss of over $625 million in USDC and Ether. William Quigley, co-founder of Tether and NFT platform Wax, joins us now to discuss. Welcome, William. Thanks for joining us. So what do we know so far?
Well, what we know, and you are right, it was apparently a week ago this occurred, just really made news now. What we know is Ronin, the underlying blockchain Axie Infinity operates on, had provided the validator key to SkyMaven. SkyMaven is the company that actually created Axie Infinity. And they did that because they needed of Axie Infinity. They felt like they needed to very rapidly give them this sort of permission, and would call an operational exploit as opposed to a code exploit. So the code is fine, but the bad guy got, and those private keys, of course, allowed them to take the Ethereum, and I believe it was maybe USDC.
Right. So you're a little choppy, William, but just want to reiterate, Ronin is a side chain. It has 9 validators requiring 5 signatures for withdrawals. The attacker found a backdoor, according to the Axie folks, through their gas-free RPC node, which they abused to get the signatures for the Axie DAO validator. And I'm wondering, William, does this look like an amateur or professional job?
I don't know if you're going to be able to hear me because of the connectivity, but I'll do my best. No, this is clearly a professional who did this because advantage to the fact that Sky Maven had access to the important keys for validating transactions. And I think that, and there was probably very little in the form of operational auditing that had been taking place to ensure that the smart contracts were working properly and the best security features were put in place. And they probably understood that wasn't the case. And so once they got a hold of the privacy, of course, it was all over.
Sorry, it's a little bit difficult to hear you.
I know. I apologize. It's bad connection, so maybe this won't work so well.
Because I really want to hear what you're saying. So I'm going to try to ask you some questions. I hope you didn't already answer these questions. I didn't totally hear what you said. But why did it take so long to notice this hack? I find that very puzzling. Why did it take like 6 days to notice that $600 million was gone?
I didn't know. And I assume it's because all eyes were not on those accounts where those 173,000 Ethereum have been looking at those addresses, seen suspiciously hundreds of thousands of tokens moved. They would. So Ronin or Sky Maven didn't know or didn't announce it. I don't know. They had to have been aware of it.
So who lost money here? Who are the victims here?
Well, it's hard to say whose tokens these were. If they were staked to do something in the game, then presumably it's whoever has staked in order to do what they need to do. I actually don't know who that would be. Then the question becomes, compensates people who lost their tokens. And, this has been a surprisingly large amount of time these days. And it's a layer 2 problem, too much complexity, systems that aren't really audited in their totality. We have a lot of third-party auditing firms that audit smart contracts, but those have not yet gotten around to auditing the integrity of an entire system, where you have cross-chain synchronizing in order to the game, for instance, works. And I think that's an area where we'll probably have to bring in a new set of skills as blockchains become bigger and more use of cross-chain communication. The auditing process is substantially more difficult. But this is a big red flag. Just give the majority of the validators, and as I understand it, there were 9 validators of the Ronin chain, and 8 of them were maintained by one group, this is Sky Maven. The Ronin probably shouldn't have done that unless they had great confidence in the internal security of Sky Maven. And so, here we are.
Yeah. All right, William, we got to wrap it there. Thank you for joining us. The connection's a bit choppy, so we got to tailwind it. But thank you for your analysis. That was Tether and Wax co-founder William Quigley. All right, up next, we've got Congressman Stephen Lynch to talk about the ECASH bill on its way to a digital dollar in the United States, possibly in the future. right, quick crypto markets update. Bitcoin right now at $47,292. Bitcoin sliding back about 1.2% over the past 24 hours. The Coindesk Ether price ETX index is at 33.96. ETH is also losing about just over 2% for the day. And the DFX, Coindesk's DeFi index, is at 317, rising about 5.6%. The Crypto Markets Update is brought to you by KuCoin, the best place to find the next crypto gem. All right, joining us now to discuss the crypto markets is Charlotte Principato, financial services analyst at business intelligence and market research firm Morning Consult. Welcome, Charlotte. So it seems that it's interesting to see that the DeFi markets are up, but Bitcoin and ETH are slightly down, but really just a few traders taking slight profits, taking more of a pause, considering the upward trajectory it's taken over the past couple of days. So I wonder what is your market's outlook of what's underlying the movements right now?
Yeah, I've been really interested in how all the recent news of cryptocurrency in general was going to impact consumers' consideration and purchase. And what I found is that the majority of consumers haven't heard about either Biden's executive order or about cryptocurrency broadly's involvement in the Russia-Ukraine crisis. And so really when I look at, over month, consumers' purchase intent of cryptocurrency, things look pretty flat. Everything's sort of staying the course. Retail investors, I think, are buoyed by the rising price. It looks like, we're right on par with where the price was for Bitcoin at the beginning of the year, for example. And so I think that retail investors are really holding out hope. If you remember the last time we spoke, I shared consumers, cryptocurrency owners specifically, thoughts on where the Bitcoin price would be, within 6 months. And they're actually relatively close to, or we're kind of getting to that point around the $40,000 and upwards mark where consumers thought Bitcoin would be specifically. So it's interesting to see that they really are staying steady.
Yeah, Bitcoin is challenging that 200-day moving average at around just over $48,000. But I wonder, with the Luna Guard Foundation, they've been making a lot of news. They started buying up Bitcoin, $272 million this week, as well as $125 million increments every day last week. So I wonder, and they have a stated goal of buying up to $3 billion and perhaps $10 billion long term. I wonder how much of that is factored into the price increase right now.
I certainly think that has an impact. I'm mostly focused on really what the retail investor is thinking, but you're right. You really can't discount a movement like that.
All right,
Charlotte, just to follow up though, you're talking about sort of the bigger picture, but there clearly has been a surge like over the past few days, and we're just hearing so many different explanations for that. I'm just curious what you think is the main cause of just what we've seen just over the past few days, where we've kind of seen a big surge in Bitcoin and some other assets.
Yeah. When I think that for the average consumer who is checking the Bitcoin price multiple times a day, they see the price rising and they get excited. We have to really bring in sort of the psychology here of folks that are in it to make money, and whether they are an experienced investor or not. They see the price going up. They have been maybe worried over the past several months about where Bitcoin, for example, is going to go. And so they say maybe we're finally on the up and up, and that's creating a little bit of a rally.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. There's limited utility in looking at like day by day, to some extent, but just staying on that trend for a moment. One thing that we were just talking about earlier is that yesterday there was some major news in the crypto world, which is that there was a $600 million hack. It's being described as the largest hack in DeFi history. And yet the market didn't seem to react, or did it? Or I don't know. I mean, do you feel like the market did react in any way? And if not,
DeFi
is that
is
surprising
right now?
Yeah, I mean, the market reacted positively. It's like, bring it on. Yeah.
Right. That's almost the only indicator of the news. I do not think that the news has been just widely publicized enough or heard enough. And I go back to, we did some polling earlier this month where we poll 4,400 consumers every month about cryptocurrency. And so we capture at least around 800 cryptocurrency owners specifically. And even the average crypto owner just has not heard a lot of cryptocurrency related news, not about the Biden executive order, like I said, which was big and widely publicized, and not about, cryptocurrency's involvement in the Russia-Ukraine crisis or donating cryptocurrency to NGOs. These things just aren't necessarily hitting the average American's newsfeed.
So in this environment,
so what are
Patricia, what are you advising retail users to do in navigating this volatility?
My advice is really, and I'm not really equipped to offer true financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but really I look back at what consumers say are their goals for cryptocurrency, and their goal for owning cryptocurrency is to make money. They're not in it for the high ideals of the community and of necessarily decentralized finance and all of that. They're in it for the long haul. And so they need to stay in it for the long haul and not make rash decisions and really treat this as if it were any other part of their investment portfolio, and not, jump to those kind of rash decisions.
So you raise a really interesting question. Like, if it's true that retail investors are not really reacting to the news, or not really as sensitive to the news as we may think, that's either sort of one or two things. It's like, well, okay, so what are they trading on then? Or is it that retail investors aren't really responsible for these big price movements, right? I mean, that's the other side of the coin, so to speak. I mean, it's possible that the bigger traders, whales, institutions are sensitive to the news, and they're the ones who are having a bigger effect, the price effects that we're seeing daily.
I think that's exactly it, that it's really the big whales and the institutional investors. And I saw that towards the end of last year, when we first saw this big price drop. My data indicated that, again, retail investors were really staying the course. And so it was the whales that must be causing all of this volatility, because we ask, again, consumers every single month, and we even have daily tracking on Bitcoin purchasing intention. And consumers weren't showing as much volatility in those decisions as the price would indicate, which to me says that it was the institutional investors.
All right, Charlotte, thanks for joining us. Appreciate your analysis. That was Morning Consult Financial Services Analyst, Charlotte Principato. Coming up, checking in with Coindesk Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor, Nick Day.
What's up, everybody? This is Spencer Dinwiddie.
And I'm Solo Cisse.
And this is New Money, brought to you by Coindesk.
All I hear, go get the money. So I go get it. Hate means I do something right. So I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. Yeah, I'ma let him. I hit the nail on the head. Yeah, I'ma let him.
What we'll see is money not only being exchanged for this digital currency, but the frictionless movement across borders. It's gonna be able to flow as easy as a text message.
Staying true to yourself, right? Like, you've always been true to yourself.
I just want to share that with everybody. You could be yourself in full capacity.
It's our duty to take our visions and be fearless in our pursuit.
Be my most authentic self and show people that, look, I'm an athlete, and yes, I'm also a part of the LGBT community.
My goal is to have, my own NFT, my own entire IP, like my own everything.
How do you think, blockchain and crypto impacts the way you think about it?
I think everyone has some sort of
So how'd you get into Bitcoin?
It's like asking someone if they smoke. It's like, yo.
Embracing where the world is going. And when the whole world shut down, we saw just how important tech was.
It was more so of my style and the foods that I cooked that kind of pushed me. I wanted to live the lifestyle of an athlete or an artist while doing what I love.
Having that open mind, having that flexibility just allows you to be of so much more service to, youth or society in general.
Gamers, maybe it's because you guys just hustle different.
Anything you want to be great at, you got to put hours and hours in every single day.
Joining us now is Global Policy and Regulation Managing Editor Nick Day, who is also the editor of the State of Crypto newsletter. Good morning, Nick.
Hey, good morning.
So, seems like Voyager Digital has run into some trouble. Can you break down for us what's going on?
Yeah, so this was reported last night by our colleague Danny Nelson. At least 8 different U.S. states appear to have filed some kind of legal action, including at least one cease and desist, basically alleging that Voyager Digital's crypto interest program, they call it the EARN program, might be in violation of federal or state securities laws. These states include, so far, New Jersey, Alabama, Kentucky, Vermont, Texas, Oklahoma, Washington, and possibly Indiana. And, it's very similar to what we saw last year with BlockFi, where a number of states said they believed that BlockFi's interest accounts were a violation of securities laws, and which later led to a $100 million settlement between both the state regulators and the SEC.
Nick, on just a slightly different matter, I'm just curious, what we know about this hack from yesterday, if you have any information about it, what your thoughts are about it. Seems like a pretty big deal in the crypto world.
Yeah, it's, there's so many different kinds of, things to be looking at here. I think, just from a regulatory perspective, I imagine a lot of regulators are going to be paying attention to this and asking, what, if anything, could they do to prevent something like this from happening in the future? But, something like this doesn't really fit into any neat regulatory framework at present, right? Axie Infinity's Ronin bridge wasn't, it's not operating as a money services business or anything like that. It's not under the jurisdiction of something like the FDIC, which, insures bank accounts or federally regulated bank accounts. So, the question is, what recourse do users have when something like this happens? So far there's no regulatory or legal recourse really, unless they can identify the hacker and, maybe sue him in a court of law. But that seems unlikely. So, I think we're going to see a lot of questions about just how to prevent something like this from, happening going forward. Whether that is, forcing, maybe more kind of slower launches and audits of code, or, at worst, we'll see regulators come in and say, all right, well, this thing is clearly too dangerous. In this case, in particular, a lot of the victims are individuals in the Philippines and similar countries that, are using this to try and earn an income. So it's not just people playing, speculating with their money. It's people who are actually hoping to, use these funds for specific items. So, yeah, I think it's going to raise a lot of questions, and, just how was this allowed to happen?
Yeah, how can you possibly regulate this globally, since this is a DEX that can be accessed anywhere? Just circling back to the Voyager Digital case. So I guess it must be frustrating because was there just no regulatory clarity on, whether or not they could do an interest account offering? And was anything learned from BlockFi that may have lent more clarity? Sounds like it's just going to be another case where they're going to have to settle.
Yeah, without speculating as to how this might resolve, the securities laws, I think, are actually kind of clear here, right? BlockFi wouldn't settle unless there was a compelling enough case from the regulatory standpoint that they felt a settlement would be better than trying to, fight this in a court of law. And, I think even after that, you saw state regulators say, yeah, we think that this kind of product is a violation. We think that, if you're offering an interest-bearing account and it isn't crypto, and your returns are being generated by the funds that are being deposited, then we see an issue here. So I can't speak to what Voyager's legal team might be thinking right now. In a statement, the company did say that it's been talking with the regulators, and it believes some of these statements might be inaccurate, so it's trying to negotiate here. But how this resolves, I think, is going to really depend on, what kind of argument Voyager makes and how convincing it is for the regulators who, they see a lot of similarities to BlockFi. The Alabama Securities Commission, Joseph Borg, told Danny Nelson that it is a lot like BlockFi. Like, it's a literal quote, the principles are the same. So there are a lot of similarities here, and, it's really going to come down to the details of whether there is anything to distinguish it as a separate entity or separate product that does not violate the same securities laws that BlockFi was alleged to have violated.
All right, Nick, thanks for monitoring the case for us. That was Coindesk Managing Editor of Global Policy and Regulation, Nick Day. Don't forget to sign up for the State of Crypto newsletter on Coindesk.com. All right, unfortunately, Stephen Lynch could not join us. Perhaps we'll get him on a future date. But here's our tweet of the day from Crypto Twitter. So the Axie community is trying to regroup after being hit with the biggest hack in crypto history. Kathleen Osgood, Director of Business Development at Sky Mavis, tweeting, Ronin means samurai without a master. Sky Mavis and our community are the first pioneers in uncharted territory. After today's events, I've never been more proud to be part of a team so brave and honorable in how we handle setbacks and move forward. I know we'll continue to prevail. Hope you guys do continue to prevail. Right, that's it for First Mover. Thank you, Emily Parker. I'm your host, Christine Lee. Meantime, check out the Hash at noon Eastern and All About Bitcoin at 3 o'clock Eastern with yours truly. You're watching Coindesk TV. What's happening in the Asia crypto markets?
Sad to say, but hacks in the blockchain world keep on happening, and the latest one is a whopper. Welcome to the Daily Forecast, March 30th, 2022. I'm Megha Chadha of Forecast, covering all things blockchain. In one of the biggest blockchain exploits to date, the Ronin network, where the hugely popular Axie Infinity play-to-earn game runs, has been hacked for crypto that's currently worth over $600 million. We'll take a look at that story, plus a whole lot more coming up. Let's get you up to speed from Asia to the world.
Join thousands of NFT traders who already start their day on CryptoSlam.
Let's kick off with a dive into augmented reality. Chinese tech giant Alibaba has led a $60 million investment round in augmented reality or AR glasses maker Nreal. While the investment is purely financial, it could introduce a partnership given that Nreal previously released AR glasses tailored for its investor Neo. Though Nreal is headquartered in China, it hasn't targeted the domestic market so far, instead launching products in 6 countries overseas, including the United States and Japan. The cash will be used to finally make a foray into China this year, as well as for research and development of its content and app ecosystem. AR and VR devices are a field many major technology companies are investigating. However, rumors over an AR or VR headset from Apple have yet to turn into reality. Physical reality, that is. And over in Hong Kong, the operator of the 3rd largest stock market in Asia, Hong Kong Exchange, has announced it is to establish a digital trading platform called Diamond this year. The platform will primarily focus on environment, social and governance or ESG related products such as carbon emission contracts. Nicholas Agusin, the CEO of Hong Kong Exchange, expressed optimism in the possibilities that this new platform will bring.
We are very excited about the digital transformation that is happening around the world. That means that we need to further develop our digital capabilities. We need to explore opportunities in digital assets, ESG, private markets, and emerging sectors.
Diamond is expected to become a one-stop platform for data management, asset trading, settlement, and wallet management for trading various assets 24 hours a day. However, HKEX has not specified the inclusion of cryptocurrencies in the platform. According to a study, the current global market value of digital assets is about $3 trillion, and it is expected to reach $60 to $100 trillion by 2030. You can find those stories and lots more at focus.news. Meanwhile, another massive hack has heightened concerns over cross-chain bridge solutions. The Ethereum sidechain Ronin, where play-to-earn game Axie Infinity runs, has been hacked for over $600 million worth of crypto. Forecast Lachlan Keller has more.
In a statement released by the Ronin network, it said the hacker compromised 4 of its own validator nodes along with one controlled by the third-party Axie DAO, allowing them to gain majority control of the network. Once the attacker had control of the nodes, they went on to make 2 transactions on March 23rd, withdrawing 173,600 ETH and 25.5 million USDC. That's a total loss of over 613 million US dollars as calculated early Wednesday Asia time. The price of Ronin's native currency, RON, plummeted after the details of the hack were revealed, falling by as much as 26%. It was trading at $1.81 on Wednesday morning in Asia. One expert told Forecast the hack shows why centralized cross-chain bridges may threaten the adoption of cryptocurrencies. Kadan Stadelman, the CTO of Komodo, said that having only 9 validators for the Ronin bridge and 4 belonging to the same person is concerning. Just last month, Jump Crypto moved to replace 325 million US dollars worth of missing funds after an exploit to its cross-chain bridge, Wormhole. And back in August, Poly Network suffered what was recorded as the largest ever hack when it lost over $600 million before the assets were eventually returned and the perpetrator offered a job as chief security advisor. Ronin says that an investigation is already underway and that is working with law enforcement agencies, forensic cryptographers, and investors to make sure funds are recovered or reimbursed. For Forecast, I'm Lachlan Keller.
Asia is set to overtake the West as the next big market for NFTs, possibly as early as this year. You can get the details in an exclusive new Forecast research report in partnership with CryptoSlam, the State of NFTs Q1 2022. So let's bring in Johan Kalpu, VP Chief Marketing Officer of CryptoSlam, to discuss Asia's role in the NFT boom. Great to see you again, Johan.
Thanks for having me, Omega.
Now, Johan, per a survey, a third of Philippine adults have said that they own an NFT, and the country, along with Vietnam, is amongst the biggest markets for MetaMask, that's a crypto wallet company. So do you see Southeast Asia holding on to this lead as far as NFT volumes go compared to, say, Japan or South Korea? What's the potential here?
Well, those Philippines and Indonesia really took a lead when Axie, the game Axie Infinity became popular there, and it seemed like it was a secondary income source for a lot of people. I guess it's just innovation, where the innovation plays and the use case that it found. It's just the way things move, and sometimes other markets need to see the use of the technology to fully get it as well. Now that we're seeing the cultural movement take place, we're going to see powerhouses like South Korea and Japan, who have a lot of cultural IP to put on chain. They'll start coming up now.
And talking about Japan and South Korea, there seems to be quite a divide in crypto adoption when we look at these two countries. Despite a tech-savvy population, NFT ownership is quite low in the land of the rising sun, while NFTs from K-pop bands is driving the demand for collectibles in South Korea. What's your take?
My take is that Japan has a lot of IP that have set business models. They don't really need an innovative business model there. Whereas Korea, they're innovative and they have new IP that are coming on, new groups that are popular across the world. Maybe music NFTs takes off there. So the use case is that there's new places for these NFTs and communities to form, whereas in Japan, they may have already formed and very mature. Big bands, BTS and like, they are huge global phenomenons, and I feel like NFTs can really bring that to a global audience, and that's why I'm really bullish on South Korean NFTs, same as Japan ones as well too.
And shifting focus to China then, cryptocurrencies are technically banned in the country, but the market for NFTs remains quite hot. Chinese tech giants like Alibaba and Tencent have rebranded NFTs as digital collectibles, and Beijing is building its own version of NFTs on state-backed blockchains. What's your outlook on NFTs in the world's most populous country?
Well, I feel like it's a huge opportunity for artists. It's a huge opportunity for communities. And I also feel that selecting the blockchain is a very strategic decision. So if that's something that they want to hold close to their chest, or even also maybe select a blockchain that may be public and permissionless, that may be an interesting choice as well too. I definitely think that they would want their own identity projects like profile pictures. However, the beauty of this technology is that every culture around the world finds a way to innovate in their own distinct way. And I'm actually looking forward to seeing what China has in that regard.
Johan, thank you so much for joining in with all the insights today.
Thank you for having me.
And that's the Daily Forecast, keeping you up to date on the blockchain world from our vantage point right here in Asia. For more, visit forecast.news. I'm Megha Chadha. Until next time.